Okay, welcome everyone. As we are sponsored in our tour through this wonderful Masechta, what a tour it's been, and we're sponsored by A.B. Spry, we're sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Nishmas Yaakov Zeben Yudaya, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Tzim Ben Yaakov Zev, L'Fur Shalema for Moshe Ari Ben Miriam, and for a great shidduch for Chayat Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We're sponsored by Baruch Ian, Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Esther Bas Yona, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKain, L'Fur Shalema for Liba Bas Anya. We're sponsored for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel Ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We're sponsored by Mark Frankel in loving memory of his father, Yisrael Tzvi Ben Yeshua Chaim Yeshua Falik. And we're sponsored by Berish Gesseman, the Refuah Shalema for Shoshana Bas Adina Chana. Again, I want to remind everybody, first of all, with the help of AI, believe it or not, and then with the help of Shelley Zeitlin and his lovely daughter Ora, we do have like a poster that I sent out just to try to get more people to come to the Zoom and to the DAF. Unfortunately, there is a mistake on the poster. The email is wrong. It says RNW instead of RMMW. But we'll worry about that at a little bit of another time. For now, the idea is just to get new people to come to the DAF, and Baruch Hashem already we got some new commitments of people coming. We're looking forward to that, and we.
Lena, the rabbi, will have her horrific sitting next to. I think she's upstairs in the shower, but she'll take care of it.
Okay, you know what? I didn't even wait. I just threw it out. You know.
I thought I proved it, but you know that shows my skill as
well. It's very hard to catch that. You know who caught it? My kid brother Yitzhak sent me a text right away. Your email is wrong. Certain trained eye, I guess.
My wife, can we use the refuah shlema for my mother? She had a procedure today.
What's her name?
Leah Bas Edel Minka.
Leah Bas Edel Minka. She should have a refuah shlema. B'seich she'achal Yisrael. You know, Barry desperately still needs a mother. I mean, you know, if anybody needs a mommy.
He's someone only a mother could love, right?
Well, listen.
My wife, Dr. Rosenstein, passed away.
Oh, Baruch Dynamis.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I heard on Friday at the conference that he'd had a heart attack, and this morning I asked someone how he was, but...
Oh, Baruch Dynamis, what a nice man.
How old was he?
Yeah, how old was he, Shelley?
You know, I saw him, it said in his 90s, but they didn't specify a date.
Okay, by the way, you're talking about a man that was dedicated to Daf Yomi. I think he did maybe 8 cycles.
Yeah, he had a morning routine with Rav Horowitz in Bar Park, and I don't know with whom else, but that's right. And I took a couple of trips together, and he always had the Gemara with him.
He was a former employer of yours, correct?
He was the director of mission.
Yeah.
Others. He was with Petach and so many.
Yeah. He was a Jew who was a very big asken. Neshama should have a big aliyah. I don't know if you remember. You wouldn't remember, but he used to come to my shir when I gave my talk in the Woodridge Shul on Thursday and Monday nights. He would come very often to that talk. That was really a highly successful shir for the 17 years that I gave it. That was really, really nice. Okay. Richard, welcome. I know you just joined us, but I just want to give you nachas that I heard from my daughter Devorah and my son-in-law David that they had one of the nicest Shabbases of their life. So you had a lot to do with that, so thank you very much. We're holding...
But I wasn't there, Rabbi Weiss. It was the nicest. Okay.
I think they had your picture on a dartboard somewhere. Yeah. So we're holding 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Yud Ches Amud Beis. 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Yud Ches Amud Beis. Oyel Mayed Shebenayv v'Givain. The Oyel Mayed in Nayv and Given, that there was Chamishim v'Sheva, that it lasted for a duration of 57 years, Minole. How do we know that detail? Where do we know that from? So the Gemara says, Dichsiv, Vayehi kehaskiru es oren elikim. This was a tragedy, that when they mentioned to Eli, the Gadol Adar, that the Oren was taken into captivity by the Pelishtim, so it says that he fell off his chair and he died. He was so shocked that he died. Vitana Kishemes Eli Akayin, and it says that at that period, when Eli died, Charva Shiloi, the Mishkan Shiloi that lasted for 369 years, was destroyed. Ubola Noiv, and the Shechina came to Noiv. Kishemei Shmuel Armasi, when Shmuel passed away, Charva Noiv, Ubola Givain, and the Shechina came to Givain. Viksiv, Vayehi Miyayim Shavas Ha'oren B'Kiryas Ye'arim, when the Oren resided in Kiryas Ye'arim, Vayirbu Ayamim, it was many days, Vayu Esim Shana, it was a total of 20 years, and during those 20 years, Vayino Kol Beis Yisrael, that's a very interesting word. The etymology of that word is very interesting. Vayino Kol Beis Yisrael Achrei Hashem, and Beis Yisrael followed Hashem. Now, how do we calculate those 20 years? Hani Esim Shana, Eser Shana Shemalach Shmuel Ba'atzmai. That was the 10 years that Shmuel reigned himself. V'Shana Shemalach Shmuel B'Shal, and the year that there was a joint reigning of Shmuel and Shaul. Ushtayim Shemalach Shaul, and then 2 that Shaul did independently. V'Sheva de David, and the 7 years that David reigned in Hebron. Now David reigned a total of 40 years. He reigned 7 in Hebron. Dichsiv Hayomim Hashem Malach David al Yisrael. The total amount of years that David reigned was Arba'im Shana, was 40 years. B'Hebron Malach Sheva Shanim. In Hebron he reigned 7 years, and in Yerushalayim he reigned 33 years. Ub'Shloima Ksiv, and by Shloima it says, B'Shnas Arba L'Malchusai, in the 4th year of his reign, Shlomo HaMelech built the temple. Now, if you remember, I told you that the temple was built 480 years after the Exodus.
After the
Exodus, after we came out of Mitzrayim. So now we're going to calculate. 480, we came out of Mitzrayim. We were 40 years in the Midbar, so that takes us to 440. Then we had 14 years in Gilgal, so that takes us to 426. Now we have to subtract 369 years. So what's 426 minus 369? So we want to take out their calculators.
57.
Ah, it's perfect. There you have it, right? 426 minus 369 is the 57 years that it was in Noiv Givon. And the calculation of the 57 years it was in Noiv Givon were the 20 years comprised of the 10 years of Shmuel by himself, 1 year together with Shaul, which is 11 years, and then the 2 years of Shaul, which brings it to 13, and the 7 years of David in Hebron, which is 20, right? And then you had the 33 years that David reigned in Yerushalayim, that's 53, and the 4 years until Shlomo built the temple, that's 57. So that's how we come out to the cheshbon that Noiv Givon was 57 years. Because it says in B'Shlomo Ksiv, Vayachal liv noisai b'shnas arba l'malchusai, nishtayr l'shiroi, when you calculate those 57 years, the 14 years in Gilgal of the 7 years that we conquered and 7 years that we divided, the 40 years of when we were in the Midbar, we're left with 369 years for the Mishkan Shiloh. Nishtayr l'shiloi, shleish me'ez v'shivam choser achas, 369 years. Now, Bo l'Noiv Givon, when we arrived in Noiv Givon, so it says again that the Bamais were permitted. And by the way, this was going to be the final time that private altars were permitted. Never again would be permitted, not for Jews, right? Because once the Beis Mikdash was built, private altars, sorry, Michal Avram, he was thinking about doing it, don't worry, the HOA wouldn't have given you permission anyway, but you can't make your own private bama. So, Minani Mili, how do we know that private bamas were permitted in Noiv Givon? The Tan Rabbanan, ki lo yvasem ad ota el ha-menucha vel ha-nachla. You didn't arrive to Menucha, to Shiloh, and to Nachla, to Yerushalayim. El ha-menucha zu Shiloh, Nachla zu Yerushalayim. Lama chilkan, why does it break them into two different stages? Kidei litein heter bein zeh lezeh. That there was a permissibility between the Menucha and Nachla. In between Menucha and Nachla, when we were in Noiv Givon, we were allowed to have private altars. Now, it says that during the time of the Mishkan Shiloh, we could eat Ma'aser Sheni b'chol harayah, wherever you could see the Mishkan Shiloh. But it doesn't say anything about Ma'aser Sheni in Noiv Givon, that you could only eat the Ma'aser Sheni in Noiv Givon. Says the Gemara, why not? Amalei Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan Ma'aser Sheni nami lisnei. Why doesn't it say Ma'aser Sheni? Amalei Ma'aser sham me Oroin Kayalfei. We learn out of Gzeirus Shava, it says by Ma'aser Sheni Sham, and it says by the Oren Sham, and therefore, where are we makpid that it should be in proximity? That's where there's an Oren. But in Noiv Givon, where they didn't have the Oren, Kaven the Oren lo have Ma'aser nami lo have. It was you aren't required to eat the Ma'aser Sheni in Noiv Givon. Says the Gemara, Iachi Pesach v'Kachim nami. So then we should say Pesach and other Kachim, which also says Sham. The Sham may Oren Yalfei. We should say the same thing, that there's no Indian to do the Pesach and not even given the Kaven the Oren Lehavi, Inu Nami Lehavi. So Amalei So Rabbi Yochanan said, you're right. So that can't be the reason. It's not because of Gzeirah of Sham, because then that would be a problem with the Pesach. Amalei the Amalach Mani, who holds that the Ma'aser Sheni at the time of Neuven given could be eaten anywhere. Where? Rabbi Shimoni, that's going according to Shimon, Rabbi Shimon. The Amar Af Tzibur Lo Yekrivu Ela Pesach V'Chayves Hakvun Lehem Zman, that they only offered up the Korban Pesach and other chayvus that have a fixed time. Now, like we said, Tamid has a fixed time. The Karbanos of Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh, and Yom Tovim have a fixed time. But the Parah and Davar Shel Tzibur and the Sa'al Avodah Zarah don't have a fixed time. Says the Gemara, another carbon that doesn't have a fixed time that we didn't think about. Ma'aser Behema doesn't have a fixed time. There's no fixed time that you have to, put it through the corral. There were Garanais, but the Garanais are only Drabanan. Says the Gemara, so, Aval Chayvish Ein Kavu Lehem Zman, but that which doesn't have a fixed time, Hachava Hachaloi Karav, was not brought on a private bummer or on a public bummer. Now, Ma'aser Behema, Chayvish Ein Kavu Lehem Zmanu. Ma'aser Behema doesn't have a fixed time. And therefore, that's why you don't have to bring Ma'aser Sheni, because the Iskish Ma'aser Dog on the Ma'aser Behema. Says the Gemara, Mechlal de Rabbi Yehuda Karav. Do you mean to imply, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, Agaz Ram Shimon, Yitaka had to bring the Ma'aser Sheni to Neuven given? Says, Gemara, yes, yes you do. The Amar of Adabar Masna, Ma'aser Sheni or Ma'aser Behema, Nechalim b'Neuven given, Ma'aser Sheni and Ma'aser Behema, was eaten in Neuven given, L'divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, V'habai Bira. Bira means it needs a place where the Shechina was, because it was an Aron. Now, doesn't that rule out Neuven given? Says Gemara, no, it doesn't. It does have a status of Bira. V'lav Tani Rav Yosef Shalish Bira is saying. There are three places that were considered like the Har Hashem, Shilai, Neuven Givain, or Beisei Lamim. Shilai, Neuven Givain, and the temple. Hu Tanila, he taught this. Vu Amala, in what practical area did I teach this? La'achilas Ma'aser Sheni, that for the eating of Ma'aser Sheni, I'll leave it to Rabbi Yehuda that you would have to come to Neuven Given and eat the Ma'aser Sheni. Now, once they came to Yerushalayim, then game over. Bamas were forbidden. Ba'al Yerushalayim. So we said that Shilai was Menucha and Yerushalayim was Nachala. Now, not everybody agrees with this. Not everybody agrees with this.
When they had the altar there, they had also the arms of the wingfoot there?
Where?
In
No, in Nov they didn't have the Aron. That's what we said.
we did have the arms.
It was hidden. Tan Rabbanan. Ki lo yivasem ad ata el hamenucha ve'el hanachla. You didn't arrive yet till the place of resting and the place of inheritance. So first we're going to say the opinion that we've been learning the whole time. Menucha zu Shilai. Resting place that Shilai, Nachla zu Yerushalayim. And we have references that Nachla is Yerushalayim. V'aymer, it says, Hoysali Nachalasi, my inheritance was Ka'aryeh Vayah. This is a sinister pasuk, that there was a time that Yerushalayim was terrorized, and it was like a lion in the forest. V'aymer, ha'ayet savua nachalosi li, the colored vulture was a nachla to me. Ha'ayet saviv. This is the time when Yerushalayim was attacked. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So we see nachla is Yerushalayim. Reb Shimon says just the opposite. Menucha zu Yerushalayim. Menucha refers to Yerushalayim. Nachala zu Shlilai. Now the Gemara is going to ask very shortly if Menucha is Yerushalayim and Nachla Shiloi, why does it say first Menucha and then Nachla? It should do it in the reverse. But the Gemara will ask that. But first the Gemara says, Menucha is Yerushalayim, Nachla zu Shiloi. And we have reference that Menucha is Yerushalayim because it says, Zois Menuchasi, this is my place of resting. Ad forever and ever, po eshev ki ifsa. There I will dwell, for I have desired it. V'aimer, ki vacher Hashem b'tzion, Hashem chose Tzion, Iva l'moishavla, he desired to rest there. So the Gemara asks right away, Bishlam l'mandi ama menucha zu shiloi. Hainu d'chsiv, that's why it says menucha first, because Shiloh is first. Hainu d'chsiv ala menucha v'ala nachla. El l'mandi ama menucha zu Yerushalayim, Nachla zu Shiloh, it should have said it in the reverse. Ela nachla ve'ela menucha mebayilei. Says the Gemara, Hachi Kamer. Loi mibayi menucha deloi matisu. Not only did we not yet reach Yerushalayim, ela afilu lenachla nami loi matisu. We didn't even reach yet Shiloh. Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. We have other opinions. Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. Zu v'zu Shiloi. Menucha and Nachla, they're both referring to Shiloi. Reb Shimon ben Yochai Omer Zu v'zu Yerushalayim. They're both referring to Yerushalayim. So the Gemara says, Bishloim elamandi Amar, Menucha zu Shiloi and Nachla zu Yerushalayim. Inami Ipka, or the other way around. That Menucha is Yerushalayim and Nachla is Shiloi. But it's two different places. That's why it says, Ela Menucha v'ela Nachla. Separating them. Hainu d'chsiv ela menucha v'ela nachla. Ela mani yama zu v'zu Shiloi. They're both Shiloi. Or zu v'zu Yerushalayim, or they're both Yerushalayim, then it shouldn't say El and El, breaking it up. Menucha nachla, menucha v'nachla mebailei. Says Gemara kasha. That's just a very big kasha. I don't know the answer to that. As we start 4 lines from the top, of Daf Kuf Yud Testament Beis, welcome in Mel Zachter and Saba, Yaakov Warman, A.B. Spry, Mo Kushner, Yitzi Fuchs, Dr. Guy, Dr. Black, the one and only Barry Cement, Yisrael Fisher, the second and only Marshall Castle, the Ben Zion Cohn, Dr. Eisenberg, Rabbi Kranz, Itchy, Nachman Chapler, Michael, Yitzi Muller, Naftali Jablin, Stephen Holtzman, Moshe Lehman, Shelley Zeitlin, Avram Zepkowitz, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Rabbi Shutman, Richard Rosenzweig. Here in Shul we have the pleasure of having Berish Gesseman, Michal Avram Chavin, Reb Shleima, Danny Vogel, and Ruvain Shanet, a Spears Olam tonight, a quality Olam, but a Spears Olam. What? Is sparse? Yeah.
Sparse is how you say it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. The whole world was saying it wrong till now.
Proving the guy you know.
Whole world's wrong.
I'm just kidding.
Lamino said.
Also, I want to remind everybody that we will have a siyum here in the shul at 6:30 Tuesday, and as you know, siyum is 6:30, and the marv is at 7:45, followed by the gala start of Menachos. Anybody who wants to come is welcome to come. We received a sponsorship from Berish Gesseman and also something from Reb Blumenfeld. Anybody else who wants to give towards the siyum, which is being prepared by the Engels. It's going to be an Engel production. I made a suggestion. I see about franks and blankets. We'll see what happens to that suggestion.
Are they making it or are they catering? Is Is it catered event?
Well, they're buying the stuff, and
They come good.
they're buying the stuff.
The one at their home.
Michal Avram is, of a discerning palate. He wants to know, but he has to see.
That doesn't.
He has to see this.
I didn't know it's on the menu before
They
we
did it
decided
right.
to-
There's different siyumim. He wants to know which one to go to. Again, we do have sponsors. If anybody else wants to sponsor Masechtas Menachos out there in Torah Anytime Kol Haloshen YouTube world, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Also, for that matter, we don't have a sponsor for Va'era, 718-916-3100. Now, so Bishloin Mulamandi Yamar Zuvizu Shiloh, that Menucha and Nachla are both referring to Shiloh. So that's Menucha, the Nachu Mekibush, because that's when they finished conquering. Because after the conquest, they opened up in Shiloh. Nachla, that's because the Polgu Hasam Nachalais. That's because over there in Shiloh is where Yoshua allocated the portions to the Shvatim. The Chsiva Yachalek Lehem Yeshua, Vayapal Lehem Gairol, he cast the lots, B'Shiloh al Pi Hashem. It was a wondrous thing that he mamish did everything according to a lot, and it was perfectly, he gave the exact locations for all the Shvatim. But according to the Mandiyama, that Menucha and Nachala is Yerushalayim. Bishlayim and Nachala, that's Nachala Saylamim. That's the eternal inheritance of Klal Yisrael, which is Yerushalayim. Ela Menucha, my Menucha, says the Gemara, it means Menuchas Oren. It means where the Oren rested. The Chsiv Vayiken Noyach Oren, the Oren rested. Bishlayim Elaman Yamazu Vizu Yerushalayim, Aval Shiloh Haveshar Bamas. According to this version, the only time Bamas would be prohibited was in Yerushalayim, but then in Shiloh it would be permitted. That's a chiddush. We know that Shiloh wasn't permitted, but if you hold both Menucha and Nachal as Yerushalayim, then in Shiloh it would be permitted. That would answer how Manoach offered a korban on a private mizbeach during that time. Hainu dechsiva yikach Manoach es gedia izim. Manoach took the kid of the goat, es hamincha, and a meal offering, v'yal al atzur, and he brought it on a rock la Hashem. Elamandi amazu v'zu Shiloh, and therefore, and of course, according to Mandiyama, one was Shiloh and one was Yerushalayim, Obama Saviyasirin. How could Manoach do it? My vayikach Manoach says Gemara, that was because a Malach told him, and it was Hayrah Shohaba, and it was a special dispensation. It was a special exception.
He did it on a rock, he didn't do it on the...
You're not allowed to do halah outside of your Beis Hamikdash on a rock either.
It's only because the Malach told him to?
Oh, that's what it says. Hayrah Shoh, special permission of the Malach. Hayrah Shoh means it's a one-time thing, which is an exception. Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Yishmael reversed his decision. The whole academy of Rabbi Yishmael to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, the Amar Zu v'Zu Yerushalayim, that both Menucha and Nachala is Yerushalayim. V'simonech, and to remember that, Moshche Gavra legavre, that an individual, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, drew over to his opinion, Gavrei, many, the whole academy of Rabbi Yishmael. Now, Kol HaKadoshim, we're going to go through many details. We said Kochim that were permitted, that were dedicated at a time of a Hetabamas, and then shechted at a time of Isabamas. You're over an Aseh and a Lois Aseh, but there's no chorus. Says the Gemara, Amrav Kahana Leishanu Ela B'Shchita. Avo Bahala, but if it was dedicated at a time that permitted bamas, and it was smoked up at a time of Issa bamas, there is even Karas. Karas Nami Mechayiv. My timer. Why? The Amakra, now, the verse before this verse has been explained through drushes to be referring to that which is dedicated at a time of Heter Bamas. Va'aleim Toimer, and upon it it says, and then it goes on to say that for smoking it up, this curse. And Va'aleim, the Gemara wants to say, even though it says an aleph, the Gemara wants to learn it as if it says an ayin. Asmuchim Toimer. Say that the Issa Karas Va'ala is referring to what was right before, where they were makdashit at a time of Heter Bamas. Says, no, you can't say that reason. Maskava Rabba Miksiv Aleim with an ayin, Aleim Ksiv with an aleph to them. And furthermore, your whole proposition that if you were makdash something at a time of Heter Bamas and you smoke it up at a time of Issa Bamas, there's Karas, you're wrong. Because Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Arba Klalois Rab Shimon Aimer. Shimon says 3 principles. Hikdishim b'shas Issa Bamas, v'shachat v'hela b'shas Issa Bamas. If you makdish it at a time when Bamas are also, and you slaughtered it and smoked it up at a time of Issa Bamas, that's Karas. V'chutz, you're over the assay, to bring it into the Pesach Al-Maid, you're over the Lois assay of not doing it outside. V'yesh b'em Karas. Hikdishim b'shas Heter Bamas, v'shachat or v'hela b'shas Issa Bamas. So here it says also smoking it up at the time of Issa Bamas. Harihein ba'aseh v'lois aseh, there's an aseh and lois aseh v'ein b'em Karas. So here you see clearly, not like Rav Kahana, that even if you were smoked it up, there's still no Karas, since you were makdash at a time of Heter Bamas. Hikdishin b'shas Issa Bamas, if you were makdash at a time of Issa Bamas, v'shachat v'hela b'chutz b'shas Heter Bamas. Say you were makdash it during the Mishkan Shilai, but you brought it up by not even given where Bamas were permitted. So Harehein Ba'aseh, the only thing you were over is you should have offered it up when you had a chance in Shilai to bring it al Pesach al-Maid, over and Aseh. But there's no lois aseh because when you did it, it was mutter. Hikdisham b'shas Heter Bamas v'shachat v'hela b'shas Heter Bamas. If let's say you were makdash it in Gilgal or in Noivin Given, and you shechted and brought it up at a time of Heter Bamas, pater meklum, then that's hunky dory. That's your pater from anything. Says Gemara, this is indeed a tiyufta to Rav Kahana. It's indeed of a refutation of Rav Kahana to yufta. Now the Elu Kachim, the Mishnah said that the following are unique on Mizbeach. They're not done on a private bama. Let's say you lived, we have people here that remember their previous Gilgals, somebody like Marshall. Marshall remembers that he was one of Moshe Rabbeinu's sheep.
Are you kidding? I taught him everything he knew.
Yeah.
He was a sheep that they carried on the shoulders.
It could be. So anyway, smicha, the leaning on the head of the animal, with all your might and confessing, that was only done by a mizbech. It wasn't done on a bama. Dichsiv lefnei Hashem v'samach. It's only done before Hashem. Shchita safan, the need to shech kachim on the north, that's only by mizbech. Dichsiv tzafona lefnei Hashem, on the north before Hashem. Matonais saviv, that you have to do the blood shtayim shem arba, 2 on 2 diagonal sides, so it goes on all 4 corners. That's only on the mizbeach. The chsiv zorach al mizbeach saviv. Only on the mizbeach do you have to do it roundabout. Tnufa waving. The chsiv heinef hakoyim only lefnei Hashem. Hagasha bringing it near to the mizbeach, touching the mizbeach. The chsiv higish el mizbeach. Now here we have. Remember, we had a machlokes whether there could be a mincha on a bama. There's another question which we didn't talk about. Can you have a bird offering on a bama? So Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ein mincha b'bama. So Rav Sheshis now tells us, Amar Rav Sheshis, l'divrei ha'aimer yesh mincha b'bama. According to the Rabbanan that they brought a meal offering on a bama, yesh eifes b'bama. There could be a bird offered on a bama too. Not with malika, but with shchita. That's an interesting thing, because there was no malika on a bama. The divrei ha'aimer ein mincha b'bama, ein eifes b'bama. Because the question is, are we medayik zevachim? Zevachim, only on a bama were zvachim, were meat sacrifices. V'loi menachas, zvachim v'loi eifes, not poultry. Now how do we know that you don't need a priest on a bama? V'kayin, dichsiv v'zora kakayin. It says v'zora kakayin. Now, the Gemara does this sometimes, and it doesn't quote the part of the pasuk that is the proof. But the lashon of the pasuk is v'zorak esakayin esadom al mizbach Hashem pesach el mayit. So you only need kahuna when it's pesach el mayit. Big day shares. How do we know that you don't need the ministering clothing, the big day kahuna? Because it says only l'shares b'kodesh. Only when you minister in the holy. The kleishos, you don't need the ministering vessels, because again it says Asher Yishor Subam B'Kodesh. L'reyach nichayach. Now there's a halacha that you can't roast it and then put it on the mizbeach. It has to roast on the mizbeach so that the smell should come when it's on the mizbeach. That's only necessary on the mizbeach, because it says l'reyach nichayach l'Hashem. Only when it's Hashem. Mechitza b'damim. How do we know that there's no din of a chut hasikra, a red line, that some have to go above the red line and some below the red line? There's no such thing on a bama. Because the meshwork that defined the midpoint was only on the altar. Richatz yadayim. How do we know that there's no washing of the hands and feet necessary on a bama? Oh, only when you come near to the mizbeach, yirchatzu. What? This we're talking about bama prati. Private bamas. A public bama, they needed to have kun. Yeah.
Okay, you said it was a mizbeach.
Correct.
And a private bama, they didn't need a kohen or anything?
They didn't need a kayin. We said there was a havamina, maybe you should need a b'char, but we said you don't need a b'char either. It's very different. It could be a zar, and you didn't need klei sharas, you didn't need big day kahuna.
And there was no nisachim, right?
Huh?
You said there was no nisachim.
No nisachim on Obama, yeah.
Why not?
We learned that out also from Psukim. Okay, Rabbi say we're going to stop over here. Tomorrow will be a little bit of a smaller daf because there's really no Amid Beis tomorrow. So we'll stop over here. If I have time, maybe tomorrow I might even give a little bit of a hakdama to Masechtas Menachos. So we'll see. Stay tuned for that. Also, let me remind you, if you didn't indulge, besides for the wonderful shiurim, Shmos Gems and Shmos for the Shabbos table, there's also a share that I made, the difference between our New Year's resolutions and the Goyim, so you could check that out as well. Also, please pass around the poster. It's amazing now what you could do by sending things to people on your, even just putting it on your status and sending it to your, I mean, Marshall probably has a colorful email,